that a pseudonym? Pseudonym? All right.
Yeah, we're good. We're good, baby. It's whatever you want.
I was about to say, I guess I wouldn't
Oh, okay. Oh, you could turn that down, Alex. I kind of want to fix his skin. You're not even in the. You're not. Oh, there you are. Oh, you are in the camera. All right. What's going on, people? Let's talk. We're on part number 11. If you haven't checked any other Let's Talks out, I think you should. I think you should go back. I've spoken to some really, really interesting people via Vimeo. You can go to Vimeo.com and put in the Juice 89.9. I got a distracting guy in front of me with the most distracting pants on, golf pants I've ever seen, and it's really bothering me. Like, Jeremy, are you gonna stay there? Cause all right, then move now, please. This is what I'm talking about. I'm trying to do these serious talks, and then I got Jeremy setting up his bootleg situation. I don't have time for this. That's what I'm talking about. Well, we had a guest, and she's coming later on, Paige Pina. I think she's coming. I'm not gonna count on it. But Jonah, I have Jonah here right now. Jay, Jonah Jay.
My name is Jonas, but you can call me Jay.
Jonas. All right. And I have an attorney in the building. Shauna. She's actually doing some great work with some good people, and we're gonna speak a little bit about it. Not too much where we can get her in trouble, but we're gonna speak about some things and maybe get some knowledge on how to some law knowledge on how to get some things done too. Like if you do get arrested and you're protesting, I thought protesting was a right. You can do that. Is that not true?
Yeah, it's an absolute First Amendment right. The question is, and especially Providence is worse than a lot of other cities, is they're still going to try to stop you if the police want to stop you. And they're going to do it illegally.
Chach, what up?
But
so for them to, if you're peacefully protesting and they arrest you for peacefully protesting, they can't get in trouble for that?
they can, but I think people know it's hard. So it's kind of like the same way they might arrest you coming out of the clubs. They might arrest you walking down the street, hanging on your friend's porch, driving down the street. If they don't have anything real that they can actually charge you with, any way you broke the law, they're perfectly happy to invent something. So they do the same thing with protesting. They won't admit that they arrest you for, exercising your rights, for demanding justice, for saying Black Lives Matter. They'll never say that that's why they arrested you. They'll come up with a story that, you assaulted me, you hit me, you were standing in the middle of the street, and they'll come up the same way. So they use those same tactics that they use all the time, every single day in our communities on the streets.
So how disgusting does that make you feel that they do those type of things just to try to trump up charges to make you look like a criminal when you're actually abiding by the law and within the law and doing what your right is to do, which is protest peacefully.
Exactly, and it's frustrating. It's sort of a double layer when they do it every day and they do it to the point. I think what it is it's terrifying. It's infuriating because what they're doing is trying to just kind of push out a little more and force people to have to be so careful and just excuse what they do, so that's what I think, yes, it's great that somebody doesn't get killed or beaten, but at the same time, they're kind of building up their practice of doing this and building up their power imbalance.
Yeah.
That's what lets them do that when they physically hurt people too.
Wow. Jonah.
Yes, sir.
Jonas.
How's it going? Yeah.
Jonas. I'm
Jonas,
sorry.
Jonah, Jay, it's the same thing.
All right. So
Jonas is my name in Haitian Creole. It translates to Jonah. So my last name is Pierre, but it translates to Peter in English.
oh, okay.
So Jonah is not incorrect. Neither is Jonas. So it doesn't
Okay,
matter.
it's, I was right on the money, baby. I actually I actually met this young man at I think it was the first or second protest. I'm not too sure which one it was.
It was my third in Providence.
It was your third?
Yeah.
All right, so it could have been my third too. I probably was at the same one you were at, the
Yeah.
third one you were at, because I went to 3. But the protest, what I noticed was your voice was one of the loudest, and it was like you were very vocal in your thought process of what you wanted to see happen with the protest. Do you feel like the protesting is played out? Like we need some action?
See, I do not believe that any form of protesting is played out.
Okay.
I have a concept that comes from my country, Haiti.
Okay.
It's the lion complex and the sheep complex. Both are necessary. Both are needed. The sheep is more docile.
Yeah.
Comes off as is less volatile, which is needed.
Hold on, before you finish your thought, I want to make sure that we sound good out there, because I feel like they're both low. So
Sounds a little low.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn them up, and we're gonna get right back into that. Don't forget that thought.
No.
Jeremy, don't mess with anything over here. See how I got to talk to him?
What's your name again? All right. Check.
You can talk louder too.
All right, word. I don't want to sound too.
Yeah, this is a free air station, so you can talk louder.
Well, the sheep complex is more docile and more welcoming, and as I compare the sheep. The sheep to the people holding signs and the people protesting and the people that are tired of the oppression that's taking place but might not have necessarily seen that oppression firsthand.
Okay.
And when I say that, I speak for a large demographic of individuals, because the lion is not just someone that's black who's protesting. I've been incarcerated. I've served time in 3 different counties. I've already been on both sides and both aspects of oppression. I've been homeless in Bridgeport, Connecticut. I've been homeless in Nevada.
Bridgeport.
I've been homeless in Newark, New Jersey. So at the end of the day, I'm talking from someone who's slept on the street and got wet. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
My perspective is that it's okay to be angry, is all I'm trying. People think it's not okay to be angry, and it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be a lion too.
Okay. So you feel like hitting the streets is part of the process.
It's very beneficial. It is one step. Part of it is a step. It's not the whole process, but it's part of it. Yes.
Okay. And do you also see that, or do you feel that the other side, which would be probably the police officers, they're to protect and serve, are interrupting the process?
Not necessarily, and I'm gonna speak from I'm partially college educated as well, so it's not like I'm just speaking from just opinion.
Okay.
I like to speak from statistics and facts.
I like it.
Statistically proven, the police are not doing anything different than what they did in 1968. They're not doing anything different than what they did when they shot Sean Bell. Some people got pissed off when Trayvon Martin got killed. Some people got mad when George Floyd got mad. I got mad when Rodney King was getting his ass beat. I got mad when Sean Bell was getting shot reaching for a hairbrush. So at the end of the day, it's like, this is something that the cops have been doing for day after day, day in and day out. This is something that's been happening for generations, since antebellum law, since slavery. So at the end of the day, the police aren't doing anything I don't expect them to do.
Okay.
Which is why when I got arrested, I was so calm. Why? It was clear indication when I got arrested that it was not my first time dealing with fascist Nazi cops. I called them how they act. And
Okay.
if I'm allowed to call them.
You listen, right here.
An ace a ace and a spade a spade.
You could call whatever
So
you
when
feel
the
like saying
Nazis-
is.
when the Nazis apprehend me, it's not my first time being apprehended by Gestapo officers. So what did I do? I did what I always do. I belly out. I put my hands behind my back. Why? Because you're not gonna break my arm if I'm giving it to you. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that being said, it's just our biggest enemy right now is not even law enforcement. We already knew what law enforcement was going to do.
Okay.
Look at how the media is acting. When you look at how the media like the young brother, the light-skinned brother from Channel 6, I believe, or ABC that works there, that instigates people and gets people riled up. If you see the way, we have his name too. I'm trying to be respectful and give him an opportunity to speak to me, because I'm not about canceling people and outing people and embarrassing people. I'm about dialogue. I'm about how can I take this individual who refuses to use the moral compass that every human being was born with, and to use it and to apply it to real life. Because as much as people want to say it's a race thing, is it a race thing or is it a right and wrong thing? Because last I checked, we are slaves. I know a whole bunch of white folk that I'm dark as molasses, so I'm gonna speak for the complete opposite. I know some red-faced folk that's white as all hell, pale as shit. No SPF in the world will save them from a sunburn. They slaves too, little do they know. They the N-word with the hard ER too. Why? Because at the end of the week, when you finish paying your bills, that's all you got too. That's all you got too. Sometimes you think about buying the generic brand of cereal too. You just as broke as me. So is you not a slave too? Is you not using your moral compass too? So I don't understand when people say, oh, we can't defund the police. I'm here all the time. I'm not even necessarily from Rhode Island, all right?
Okay.
But I go through Kennedy Plaza.
Where are you from
I'm
originally?
from Bridgeport, Connecticut. I'm from the East End. And when I go through downtown in Burnside Park, I talk to the homeless people. I talk to the people that Gino won't talk to, okay? So when I go and interview
I know
them,
about Bridgeport too, the Eagle.
you know what it is. I was homeless in Bridgeport. It's a jungle out there. So when I go to Burnside Park and I talk to all these homeless folk, and one in every or 5 or 6, not only are they homeless, but they serve this goddamn country and they ain't got nowhere to live. Never mind the black folk that served this country in Vietnam to come back to America to be called a nigger, and now you still don't got a place to live. On top of that, you sleeping at Kennedy Plaza, you sleeping at Burnside Park, while Gina Raimondo come on in her little COVID interviews and act like Rhode Island is the best place in the world, the creative capital. Such a creative capital that you can't use your First Amendment right without being tackled by 4 cops. Wow. Are we really the creative capital? Are we talking about it, or are we walking about it?
Well, here's the thing that I kind of see a little difference with what you're saying is I like the protesting. I feel like sometimes it's necessary. I think it's the first step. It seems like the first step. But now at this point, I want to see some action. You just spoke about media.
That is the next step.
You just spoke about media.
Canceling them.
And right now, I feel like it's the time to go after the media that isn't giving you the correct narrative.
John DePietro.
So
John DePietro is online calling me a terrorist. He's online calling me, the modern day Al Qaeda. He's on Twitter saying that I'm getting more and more violent and that my aggression needs to be dealt with before. What does that mean? When the white man tells me that my aggression, which is not aggression that comes up after a hockey game or a soccer game, because I'm confused. Because I was born in New England. They turn up after hockey games when they lose. They turn up after Red Sox games for no reason. All right? So when you telling me that I need to be dealt with because of my aggression, but my aggression doesn't come from a recreational sport that the outcome does not, determine the outcome of how somebody is going to be living their life. My anger and frustration comes from 400 plus years of oppression. My anger comes from my dad being born in La Tibonite Petite Riviere, all right, to come from the first place to abolish slavery, so for my dad to come here in 1972, work in the World Trade Center, work as a cab driver, graduate college in 1999, open 3 businesses with my mom. My mom has owned a business in Rhode Island. My mom has owned a business in Rhode Island for over 15 years, so Gina get money from my mama too, all right? And so yet I'm doing all this for a country that don't work for me, for a government, for a system that don't work for me. $88 million a year for the police to have. I talked to a couple of kids from Classical. They got good grades. This is why they go in there. They said that when they go to look up certain words in the dictionary, it just ain't there.
Wow.
$88 million a year for the police to use all these M4s and all these Humvees and crazy militarized type shit on us. And you got kids that are going to be the potential carrier of the cure for cancer that can't look up every word they need in the dictionary? That's crazy to me.
So defunding the police is something that you stand by?
By 70%, yes. I do not say that abolish the police. But
what about reallocating their funds? What about taking the funds, taking some of their funds, figuring out this is what I've been trying to figure out with a lot of people that do come here and a lot of people that I do speak to about defunding the police, and I would like to know every piece of their budget. I mean, we're taxpayers, so we should, right? So we figure out every piece of their budget, and where things are not needed, we sit down and figure out where things are not needed, and take that money and put it back into the community that does need it, the kids that do need it. I don't know.
In order to do that,
totally get rid of it. So you're saying get rid of it and rebuild it?
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah. I'm listening.
Brother to brother, right?
No, I'm listening.
I don't know if you even know the answer, Attorney Shauna, right? How did the police come to be in America? How did the police come to be in every state in America?
Well, they were hunters of slaves eventually.
Not even
at
just slaves.
first.
They were here to protect property, which means slaves.
Okay.
So your cow. So
Okay.
for example, right?
Slaves.
You're a farmer, right? Your cow gets away. Betty, where'd the cow go? I gotta go get the cow. Call the sheriff. The police will come and get your fucking
Okay.
cow for you.
Yeah.
The same way they come and get your slave because they treat us like livestock,
Property,
my guy.
like property, yeah.
That whole antebellum law was never fully revamped through the Constitution. This is my thing, right? I'm 3/5 of a man until the white man start treating me otherwise. And so as far as I'm concerned, 3/5 of the law shouldn't even apply to me if I'm still 3/5 of a man. I'm going to start picking. You wanted to know, well, how are we going to go about bringing change? I'm going to start picking which 3/5 of the law I'm going to start abiding by. All right? You have two types of people that protest.
I'm listening.
My lawyer called me the other day. We just had a protest just the other night. My lawyer called me the other day. We don't need you out here, blah, blah, blah. I stayed on the sidewalk. I stayed as a bystander. I was basically just observing. But at the end of the day, you have two types of people that are protesting, right?
Okay.
You have people that are angry. They're upset, which is fine. I'm past that, all right? I'm fed up, bro. I have nieces. I have nephews. My nephew serves in the Air Force. My older sister served in Desert Storm. My older brother served the first year they rolled out F-15 fighter jets in Desert Storm. He won that fucking war. His branch of the Air Force that rolled out in F-15s, they won that war, bro.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, when my nephew hits me up talking about, hey, yo, I live in the white area in Arizona. I can't go anywhere I want. I got to wear camos everywhere because they pulling me over acting like I don't belong out here, but I'm in the service. What if he want to wear basketball shorts and a T-shirt? What if he don't want to wear camos on his day off? But this is America, 3Ks, right? Come on, man. I'm not buying it. I'm fed up. Some of us is willing to die.
So
for
with
this
you
cause.
being fed up,
Some of us is willing to die for this cause. That's what I mean.
Jeremy, did you just touch that?
He's messing with something.
Yeah.
Now I sound crazy.
Oh man, he gotta go.
But no,
I'm about to kick him out.
I'm telling you, some folk is ready to die for this cause, and the thing is, it's not just black folk. My man Booby over here, you know what I'm saying? He ride out just as hard as any of the brothers I come out with. You know, I tell you right now, when we was in front of the police department, the whole de-arresting process didn't take place. The white boys I roll with, they know what their part is in this. They see somebody getting mistreated like that, man. It's not happening.
How do you feel about Black Lives Matter and the fact that they're saying that Black Lives Matter has been infiltrated and it's not necessarily the same cause anymore? How do you feel about that?
I have mixed feelings about Black Lives Matter.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie. But what I'm not gonna do on this platform, especially in front of a demographic of individuals that won't look like me, is say anything about my opinion, because my personal opinion doesn't really
personal
matter.
opinions are important because
If you want my personal opinion,
Yeah, I do. I absolutely
personal opinion
do.
is I look at it this way, right? Generation what's that organization in Providence? The generation we want to live.
Gen Z.
Gen Z, we want to live, right?
Yeah.
Gen Z, we want to live has been established for how long? Like, not that long, bro.
Okay.
Not as long as Black Lives Matter.
Okay.
They done got more done than Black Lives Matter. As far as I'm concerned, I feel like they getting more done and they bringing more to the table and they better presenting themselves as to what they want, how they want it. I feel like they doing a better job than Black Lives Matter.
I think the problem is that after the protests, like, we have to come up with some action items and some things that we actually want to change. Like, it has to happen. Not has to be talked about.
It has to take place.
It has to happen.
But who do we have on the inside that's working for us besides Mrs. Williams?
I think, of course,
the only phone call we can
Anastasia
make.
is doing a
Anastasia
great
is
job.
the only one that answers phone calls. I call everybody. You could check I'm on the phone with the Providence State Police.
Okay.
I'm on the phone with the Providence Police Department. I call the Attorney General. I call any number I get and I blow it up and I give it to the next man to blow it up. Anastasia Williams is the only one that answers.
Wow.
And many people can tell you that.
Wow. Well, I think that's where we start. Then we start with supporting her and the
Perfect
things that she's
example.
doing and the bills that she's producing and bringing up in the house, and we help her out with her flight and the things that she thinks that the community should rally behind. I think that's what we need to do. We need to figure out who we need to be behind. I think that's part of the problem in Rhode Island. We haven't figured out who's actually doing that work for real, like out there doing the work for the community, and we don't end up rallying behind that person. So I think that's one person we definitely should be behind. Am I wrong in saying
No,
that?
100%.
All right. I wanna get back to Shauna real quick. When it comes to like some of your cases, if you could give us like one case where it's just like this is, and you don't have to, of course, no names, but like this is insane. The things that these police are doing and the things that the system is doing is insane. Can you give us one case that's?
Yeah, and I want to follow up though also just by, like, this is very much connected, right? So that point I was trying to make before, that what they do to people protesting really follows what they do to people every single day, right?
Uh-huh.
So what Jonas is talking about with the way they were acting then, and how, I think, I want to support that. I think one thing we got to look at too, like talking about sort of the breakdown, how people get treated at the rallies. I mean, yes, they will go and arrest white kids, but they're not going to do the same kind of beating that they're going to do on a black youth. So I think we just want to keep in mind the police are fueled by racism, by white supremacy, the way, describing how they were created as a slave patrol, that's their defining characteristic. Mm-hmm. Yes, some white people are going to get caught up in that mix, but we always have a much easier way to get out of it too that does not exist for black people. When I get arrested, like, oh, okay, we're so sorry, all right, yeah. I don't get beat, I don't get hit. It might be a stupid reason but it's not the same kind of thing, right? I'm out by 8 o'clock at night without like a ton of people calling. And just one thing to add too, with the talking about the role of people on the outside, and I have a lot of love and respect for Representative Williams, and have for decades, and how she fights and how she will be the one to stand up there and say what needs to be said without fear. And I have mad love for that courage that she has to say that. I also want to point out though that anybody working on the inside, there is a limit to what you can do as one person on the inside. Perfect example is I'm trying to figure out how to talk about this without swearing.
No, you can.
I can. Okay. All right.
You can.
So that bullshit that they were doing the other night and arresting.
Yeah, this is the internet.
So, all right. When the young woman came in who was arrested with Jonas and came into court on Friday morning, and this judge just was automatically, now when somebody is arrested when they're on bail for something, 2 weeks, because they're allowed to, not because they have to hold a person for 2 weeks, because they can. So they act like that's the floor.
One second. If you want to call up right now, 401-400-5002. This isn't for me. I mean, I'm learning from both of these guests, but this is for y'all. So call up, share this post, because you might need both of them for something. So this is where we connect the dots, man. So 401-400-5002, 401-400-5002. You could call up again.
All right, thanks. So this judge is just convinced that Providence Police Department doesn't want to budge, right? They want this young woman, this 18-year-old girl, held without bail.
Okay.
And so the judge is acting like he absolutely has to go along with that, refuses to consider. So I start arguing whatever, and like kind of, and et cetera, and all he does is and yells at me, and et cetera, and well, you should respect the court, never, and like, come back here right now, doing his thing, whatever. So there's a limit on, as a lawyer, you can do everything you can do, and the judge decides. But I'll tell you, when that afternoon we walked out of there after, okay, so I did lose it a little bit in the hallway, but whatever. We walked out of there, and that's okay. That's what the lawyers can do.
Yeah.
But people called all afternoon People called the city solicitor, the city law department, that what are you doing? You don't need to do this. People called the mayor's office. People, lots and lots of people called. Yes, some of the people were council people or state reps, that were doing that and like calling hard. But it was just regular people calling and calling and calling. And finally, we got the word, back channel, because they didn't want to bother to tell the lawyers directly, that's fine, that she was being released. And they had changed, we still don't know the details on how it went down, but we know that at 7 o'clock at night, she was walking out of the women's facility.
What did they try to charge her with?
So it's misdemeanors. It's the same, we call them, to borrow the public defender's phrase, the trifecta. Pick any three out of disorderly conduct,
resisting
obstructing
arrest,
police, resisting arrest, and then simple assault like, oh, your face hit my hand. It's the trifecta. And even, in fact, disorderly conduct, right, that's the what they don't know what to charge you with because they can't even imagine something you did wrong.
You annoyed me.
Right. So it's basically in their training manuals, and we got this in discovery for one of the cases because aside from like maybe you can win suing them, you can also gain information.
This is education, man.
In their training materials, but this you can also get from public records, right? So 67th Academy, that's the one where they graduated in fall 2014. And if it is okay to swear, those are some nasty, evil little motherfuckers that came out of that class in 2014. 67th Academy. In their training manual, you go towards, happy to send you the selection. In the notes, the code for it is officer annoyed for disorderly conduct. When we asked little Matthew Sheridan about that on the stand, after he had he had charged his former classmate, who they chased out of there, a very brave man named Sharm Howie, who refused to let his dignity bow to them. And so he's going to trial, but it was really putting them on trial. And Sheridan, whose nickname is Son of Trump, it's quite, you look at his face and it's really possible. Isn't the code for that officer annoyed? Oh, that's just a joke. It's not a joke. It's not funny when you're the one who's pulled off the street and taken from your family and put into handcuffs and locked up. It's not a joke when you're the one who their hands are all over your body frisking you. Then it's not so funny. So there's that, and I'm sorry, to wind it back to you, I wanted to know about some of the cases. So Sharm has been brave and stood up to them, beat them on those trifecta contempt of cop type of charges, and has a civil suit pending. I'm sure he'd love to come and tell you about it. We represent Christopher Johnson, who had hoped to be here tonight,
we're definitely going to get Christopher Johnson on. Y'all know him, the poet extraordinaire.
Yeah.
So.
And he even wrote a play about what happened. Also, that same Matthew Sheridan, and there's two other lawsuits that different other people have against Matthew Sheridan. A very sweet young man, a DJ at Club Aqua, who Sheridan beat him on videotape, and then of course tried to charge him with crimes.
How do we get someone like him out of
yeah, right?
Get him from at least, from what I was told is the Officer Bill of Rights actually protects officers like him.
Well, it makes it much harder for them to be fired. But honestly, when Sharm and Christopher and one of the other victims sat down in a meeting with the commissioner, with Perry, who just loves to smile and try to say the right thing, he thinks, and Chief Clements, and told them, here's all the things he's done. He's doing it again and again, and he keeps getting caught. And here's 1,000 signatures, by the way, on this petition. Oh, well, we can't really do anything. You're going to need to get more. Okay, so you want to wait? This isn't his first 2 years on the job, mind you. Yeah. You want to wait until he kills someone? You're going to give him 10, 20, 30 years and see how many people he can kill? The thing is, when you look at those repeated offenses, so the guy who was out there, and in fact, at the desk when they didn't want to let Jonas go and have a JP come in on Thursday night, the one who was officer in charge that night, now is Sergeant Rampone. He is one of the officers who mercilessly beat Joshua Robinson back on March 5th, 2013 on Eddy Street. I think folks remember Joshua's mom, Suzette Cook, who's one of the strongest women.
I wish a lot of people would put these scenarios out there. These scenarios have to be public knowledge. And not to cut you off, but I just wonder if you could add this in there. How could we almost get like the stats of these police officers?
Yeah.
Is that a possibility, or is that something that the public can't have, or is that something that they hide and bury? The stats, like we need to know how many times they've been in a police brutality case, how many times they've been in court, how many times they even extended their arm to even strike anybody. Like we need stats of police officers like baseball cards. I want to see exactly what these officers are doing, because we're paying their salaries. So it's only right that we see exactly what they're doing and how they're doing, how they're treating the community, and where they're from.
It's not to cut you off, but it's like Home Advisor. When you want to pick a good plumber to come to your fucking house to work on your shit, if the motherfucker got 1 star, you gonna hire that motherfucker to do your shit?
Exactly.
I don't do Yelp myself, but some stuff you want to see reviews on, or you ask people right? So, and you and I were talking about this, and I think what we really have to do is build our own. That's the only way to have the information, all the information we need. In the meantime, you can you can get complaints through Public Records Act, but it'll come without the officer's name. So you got to know this street, this day is when it happened and where, right? And then you can fill in with, the officer's name. Well, you can do your own complaint and share it and stockpile it. We've gotten use of force reports as part of discovery in the civil cases.
Yeah.
And I demand stuff like that in criminal cases too for discovery. They don't like to give up information, so some we can get public records, some we can get through discovery, but ultimately, I think it's like media and business. The community, we have to figure out how do we build our own. So we're really looking to work on, I work for PRISM, Providence Youth Student Movement.
Yeah.
And we're trying to build actually our own community database system where we have some names and badge numbers, right? I think folks have done this on Facebook, name your worst cop, right? And people's stories. What we just need to do, you don't even have to do it, we can keep it anonymous, but let's keep everything we have.
You know what's so crazy?
Sheridan.
I don't think you need to keep it anonymous. You need to let
That's
them know that we are watching.
I agree.
That's right.
You don't put nothing behind any type of red tape.
No.
You put it right out there in their face, so listen, Matthew Sheridan, this is gonna be the last time, because we will 100% be on your ass every time you do something like this.
And I will say, the thing is, and I agree with that 100%. I can't make that decision for somebody else. And folks will ask when they come to us with a complaint, like, hey, we can help you do para. You can try to do it on the internal affairs if you want. You get some interesting information, but here's what it's like. It's a very hostile
Providence
process.
internal affairs ain't shit. I've been through it.
Hostile process. That's right. And it's cops siding with cops.
Exactly.
The only reason to do it is to put the numbers down and to get some. You can get some actually nice discovery and radio transmissions and stuff in those logs. But I think that the thing is, I'm always honest with people. Some people, let's face it, are going to be afraid to do it for retaliation. And I tell people, we will do everything. We will go to the wall to try to do everything we can to help you stay safe. We will build a community, wall of safety for you. But I don't lie and say we can guarantee your safety.
So what's so funny? I just to elaborate off of what you just said, the retaliation part. They were, when I went through my case and I sued the Providence Police Department, 3 officers from the Providence Police Department. Officer Rosh, Officer Papa, and Meg Slagiter. I don't care. I say their names because one day they're gonna get what they deserve for doing what they did to me. But anyway, what they did was they had their partners or people or other officers. They would come by the studio, and I had the studio downtown over by PPAC, and they would just give me tickets. What you get an overnight ticket at 3 a.m., they would be sitting there at 2 $259.
With your taxpayer money.
Because they are petty. They are that petty. Like to them, like, ooh, I could mess you up. And that's their like petty little way of messing you up. I mean, you know what? And this is my new thing because I was sort of feeling after the week we've had, like, okay, time for some bacon. And I was like, oh, damn, we got turkey sausage here or something. Like, okay, so you know what? This week, now the new theme for them is it's going to be turkey. But they really get uncomfortable when you like, call them out. Like the other, remember when you all did that beautiful, beautiful march, the first Saturday march through the streets, and they were like freaking out. I couldn't keep up because I'm old. But so I'm walking behind where the cops were walking, and because they weren't in great shape either. Yeah. And so we get bottled up on this one street. And first of all, they're so confused. They didn't know what to make of it because there was a lot of people. The rally got great attention. We'll look bad now if we go and beat the shit out of them, right?
Yeah.
So I'm walking along, and someone's like, "Oh, you've been identified." I was like, "What?" And he goes, oh, I heard one of them say, keep an eye on this one. So I'm in a position of comfort where I'm able to be a lot safer than a lot of people in checking them. So I just turned around like, oh, did someone say they're going to keep an eye on me? Who is that? Go ahead. Because they're all like their cars lined up. Silence.
Yeah.
And it's like, so if you're in a safe situation, calling them out, they hate that because it offends their ego, right? Because the part of this is about, like, they want to redefine their masculinity, right, in a really toxic way, which is sad that, like, a lot of the women there, like, have to prove themselves as, like, okay, I'm as tough, I'm as masculine, and it's a really warped view of masculinity, like I can be more male by hurting someone else. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, you got me started now, so I'm way off whatever the original question was. But I think if people are...
you are on point. You are on point.
Them, and as much if there are enough of us together, we can try to keep each other safe, and be together in a group where folks can challenge them. I mean,
I think part of it is, and I hear this all the time, it's data, but I think also part of it is us not understanding and knowing how many of them there are versus us, and I mean that in this way.
Yes.
I mean that in this way. If there is 100% would be the whole police department, and 75% of them are white males from not from Providence, but in Providence there's 75%. See, that's where we have to even that playing field.
The community should be serving the same community.
The community should be serving the same community, and we also need people that look like us, understand us, have been through the same struggle as us, and I mean that for every single community. I also mean that for the Asian community, and I want to see Haitian, I want to see Jamaican, I want to see Cape Verdean cops. That's what I want to see.
So
Dominican, Puerto Rican, I want to see the community mirrored in the police department, and then not only there, I want to see it in our teachers. But we'll talk about teachers in a minute.
With cops, I'm sorry. I just one, and I'm speaking. I acknowledge that there's going to be some things I don't understand about this as a white person. But I will just ask: is there any country where it's racially homogenous, right? So you pick, like I talked to a friend in Kenya, it's not like the police are so nice there because they're Kenyan.
Yeah,
right?
I understand
the Dominican
that.
police, Puerto Rican, if you go to Puerto Rico and the police, who did they call here in Providence? The Terror de la Broad, right? The Terror of Broad Street.
Yep, okay.
Francisco Colon. And I have a video that's, in a couple weeks, hopefully there'll be another person talking about something where we have video of him recently, right before he retired as an old man. So it doesn't guarantee it because
here's the problem. I'm also saying because a lot of those guys that you're speaking of, and I know personally, a lot of them are out of touch with the youth. So I'm talking about, like, my son, he wants to be a state trooper, and I applaud that. I want him to be a state trooper.
DJ Ruckus.
No, I want him.
No. Let me. What I'm saying.
Good.
I will let you go off because I'm a man of like.
No, go ahead.
I speak quick.
It's not for me to be speaking. But go ahead.
I'm gonna make this as common sense as possible. All right, and you gonna understand because you know how I am. It's black and fucking white. You a Zoe, so you think like
you gotta speak.
You tell me what. All right, what year was I allowed to join the KKK? Answer the question.
I do not know.
So what the fuck is y'all talking about? You a lawyer and you would seem like you educated, Black people can't join the Klan unless you infiltrated or you selling out. You understand what I'm saying?
I
You have to
understand
be
what
aware-
you're saying.
Because I understand what I'm saying because I know what the cop that grabbed me looked like. All right, and I'm
I
not
get
trying to
that.
get pissed off on none of that. The dude that grabbed me, he's not skinful. He looked like me, but he's not one of me.
Okay.
He sold
Yeah,
that.
all skinfolk
he
ain't your
sold that-
kinfolk. We
he
get that.
sold that for the privilege that me and you can't have. She sold that for the privilege that she's giving up.
So you.
You understand what I think
but-
basically what you said is what I'm saying. You giving up your comfortability to help the cause.
So let me ask you a question.
To run from the cause.
Let me ask you a question. So are you saying that we shouldn't have
I'm saying that
black police officers?
What kind of people are allowed to be police officers? So think about it. My brother graduated the top of his class.
Yeah.
Okay, for criminal justice. He did ride-alongs in Bridgewater. He did ride-alongs in Mansfield. He did ride-alongs in Attleboro. He owns a barbershop now, bro.
And a perfect example, so Sharm Howie, who I was telling you about before, he went to the academy, he did explorers. He would have made, I mean, and as somebody who wanted to do it to help his community and keep his community safe, they chased him out of the academy practically. They just, because he
they
was
do.
someone who refused to bow his head at all. He's an incredibly dignified man, and they did not like that. They were uncomfortable with him. They got rid of him.
Yes.
So I agree, there are a lot of people there, and probably even some white people maybe, who knows?
Of course.
Who become police officers for good reasons, because they want to help people. They want to find the lost little child and return them to their mother. And they really think, or they want to get in there and I'm going to show them the right way to act. And I
I'm
believe
friends with some.
there are
Oh, yeah,
people who
I'm
sincerely
not-
believe that.
I'm also
Joe
saying
Almeida,
that-
ask him how it was to last through 18 years trying to be a good guy. He'll talk about how they get inside your head.
The locker
and
room
change
talk.
what to do. Not, I mean, they just
The
train
workplace
you that way. You
discrimination.
can't. So for me, it's not
think
hate
the
the player.
point-
Some of the players, yes, but that
The
hate-
point I'm trying to make that I'm actually trying to push out there is the fact that if we do develop these young men to be police officers and they understand what we're going through, they're your cousin, they're my son, and they understand what's going on, they're not going to get into that. I would think they wouldn't get into this gang and abide by the gang rules, that they would go in there to reform and change. That's what I would hope for.
You would
I'm not
hope.
saying
That's what I would hope for that.
Do they
I'm
ever
not-
snitch? Do they snitch? As much as they want everybody else to
because
they never
I
snitch.
do know 3 black rookie police officers, not actually 4 black rookie police officers, that they have to do their job, but they're great people from
What's
the
their
community.
job? What's their job?
Their job is to police and
what is policing- what is
and
policing
help,
in America
and
right
help
now?
the community. From what I know, I know the other term that you're saying, and I know where you're
I'm
going.
certified in mental health and behavior health, and when I look at the
But
demeanor
you
of the
can't
black
sit here
cop-
and say
I'm not saying
that every single cop is bad.
You're not. If you let me
It's not
finish,
about
if you
the-
let me finish my sentence, you'll know what I'm.
No, I'm throwing that out there so you can explain
what I'm
yourself.
simply saying is that, yes, you have a demographic of police officers that want to do good, right? But if you're one cop in a society of 150 or 200,
I get it.
You cannot do good. And it comes down to the same thing Malcolm X been saying, but everybody want to be on Netflix and Hulu. Nobody want to use, everybody got the same access to the internet as me. And yet people keep educating Jonas. Now I'm here to fight. I'm not here to educate. Everybody got the same access to Wi-Fi
I
as
think you
do.
should. I think you
But
should,
when
though.
when Malcolm X said, if there's a case with 50 snakes, and you tell me 10 are docile and good, and you telling me that I'm gonna shove my hand in that fucking tank and expect that 10 docile snakes to stick up for the black arm that I shove in there and stick up for me against the other 40? I beg to differ. I guarantee you, if them 4 black rookie cops that you talking about right now is called to do their job,
I see. I
so
can't
they
believe
either
that.
so they either gonna get fired and throw their whole entire career away.
I believe they would.
I think the same.
Because I
think
grew
the
up
same.
with these
I
guys.
think-
I grew up with them. I lived
think-
with them.
It-
I think the same black cop, the
I've
same
served
black
the
cop,
community with them.
the same black cop, which is the reason why I got all these cuts on my wrist, probably said the same thing.
And you know what? I'll tell you, if
I-
someone
I
actually
mean,
leaves
we got a difference of opinion,
their
and it
position,
happens.
I'm going by real
if
life
someone
experience.
actually
I am
leaves their
too.
position, I will do everything I can to support them. If somebody gets fired because they snitch on somebody, I won't try to help them get their job back, but I would try to help them get a whole lot of money for that. Because the thing is, they make it so you can't, they make it nearly impossible for good people to do, and it is a bad institution, right? So that's why it's not about there's some very nice people that if
Yes.
they weren't cops, I think would be doing great things. You can't do good in a bad institution.
No.
This is part of why I differ from Jonas in that I am an abolitionist. I do not believe there's a way to, hospitals we want to get better, schools we want to make them better. Police departments, we can't by definition. The reason they started to capture people who had escaped slavery and return them to the condition of slavery, that's why the institution exists, to protect the ruling class. We can't make the institution good. Hey, you have those skills, those instincts, great. Help us build something else, something that the community can control.
The more I listen to you, I might be an abolitionist too by the time we done.
It's going to take a while.
I believe it, but
yet.
what you just said is the key. It's going to take
Yeah.
a long
It's a
time
process.
for that process to even
We gotta-
even start because taking away what we have and then starting something from scratch, it's going to take everybody's power.
It don't have to take that
We
long.
got to build it as we're taking
It
the
don't
other
have to
thing
take
down.
that
I mean,
long.
that's not going to come down right away.
He can second. It didn't take that long for Haiti. Napoleon was the biggest mastermind out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know why? We have a sheep complex in America. I'm gonna say how it is.
Yeah,
'Cause like
go
I
ahead.
said, my days are numbered. I know my days are numbered, and I don't care. So guess what? I'm gonna tell you like this, right? You know why the Haitian Revolution was so? Because every Haitian and Dutty Bookman said, guess what? I don't know about these other motherfuckers, bro, but I'd rather die than be a slave.
I hear you.
I'd rather die than live under the oppression of the white man. So this is what we finna do. We finna poison people, we finna burn shit down, and we can't pick no cotton or pick no sugar cane if we burn everything. If we burn everything, what is there left to pick?
Well,
For me,
I
that's
think
the
that,
part
but
I like better, the
don't you-
fighting and taking it down. But I do want to honor and respect as part of that abolition. We can't wait for it to be gone before we
course.
build up the new.
No, I'm just giving you an
exactly what
example.
you said, Ruckus, is right, that we can't, I mean, it's not going to happen overnight. So
not.
I want to honor something that Mary Kay Harris, Councilwoman Harris, said a long time ago. She said, you know what? We're talking about it, and she said, I don't want to hear the word abolition until you tell me what we're going to replace it with. And she's right. And I owe it to her to respect that.
They
by
got rid
saying,
of what we were
let
gonna replace it
every
with.
No, we
The
build it.
FBI defunded
No.
the Black Panthers and dismantled them.
Right, but you
that
know
was
what?
the
They
answer.
didn't kill it, did they? They can't. They can't. They
didn't.
can't kill the
No.
idea.
100%.
It still
Of course,
exists in
of
you and
course.
your heart and your mind.
So, and that's a perfect,
So,
and that brings me
right.
to the next thing, right? I'm a
So
little bit passionate.
the neighbors
I'm
are playing
sorry.
the music too loud. You could say, hey, can you turn it down? That's the easy kind. I hear the fighting next door. I think I know
Yeah.
what's happening. Maybe I go knock on the door, bring some, hey, you guys okay? There's
But
ways we need to learn to do it.
People want to be cops. People want to. I'm talking about my people.
Yeah, go ahead.
I respect you as an attorney, right? I'm talking as a man that's dark as molasses, all right? So at the end of the day, you got people, I want to be in the Marine Corps. I want to be in the Army. I want
Okay.
to be in the Navy. I want to be a fucking cop. Guess what? You can go and just go take the NRA safety course. Go get you a strap with your blue card. Protect yourself and protect your fucking community. You didn't join a cop because you want to help. I don't care.
Well,
who you-
I mean, I like that.
You
I
didn't
like
join
that
the Marine
thought.
Corps because you want to serve your country.
I
You
like
wanna serve
I
your
like that
country?
thought. That's the thought of
Serving
the
your country,
not fucking
destroying
around
a
crew,
man,
right?
Destroying the Chinaman or destroying the Middle Eastern man who ain't do nothing to me. You want
Listen.
me to hate Al Qaeda when I'm being oppressed right here by dudes that is born and have the same citizenship as me, and I'm paying their salary.
I get what you're saying, and I believe that that's something that could definitely happen. I just don't. I don't
already is
think that
happening.
I don't.
It already is
No, it
happening.
is
I promise you
100%.
it is.
Here
My
I don't
community,
see
it's
it happen
happening.
here.
It's happening.
I don't see it
I'm not
happening
gonna-
here.
I'm not with Black Lives Matter. I'm not with Project whatever. I'm not going to even dispose of the name of my group because the time has not come yet. But when the time comes, you're going to know.
But-
Because we are here. Like I said, some of our days are numbered and with reason. I don't care about no case, nothing like that.
I feel you.
This ain't my
I
first
feel
time
you.
on bail. I'm already a 2-time convicted felon.
But-
Man,
but
Ronald
we-
Reagan
but we
fucked
need
my life
more-
up years ago.
We
I got nothing to
we
lose.
need more garnished support for what you're saying, because I 100% agree with what you're saying. But you yourself, you need to get that army, that team, those
The
people
numbers,
together.
like I said, we working on it.
I tell
Okay.
you, I went to the
Working
gun
on it.
range with my son, which today's Monday, so Saturday, and we go out in Coventry. This was the first time I ever saw, not one, not two, like 4, 5, 6 black people there, and my heart just like leapt with joy, because it was like, all right, okay. I mean, you saw Stone Mountain, the way folks organized.
Yes.
And organized. Army, it takes
But-
training, it takes...
It takes education.
on it.
It takes
We on it.
education, and it takes
Practice.
people like yourself to put that out there, that education, because a lot of people don't know how to shoot a gun. They don't know how to protect themselves. They don't know how to protect their family. They wouldn't even know what gun to buy.
I'm it.
So that's where, because one thing you said earlier, you said you're not here to teach, but you are.
I'm here to teach, but I'm here to teach it different. I'm not here to teach how to sing Kumbaya.
Of course not.
I'm here to teach how to properly get arrested. Not, how to properly get arrested to the point where no matter what they say, them charges is gonna be bogus. You belly out, hands behind your back. You never, always approach your back. I'm trying to teach people how to go out, what you should be wearing when you go to protest, what you should do when the lynch mob and the Klan come to your crib. People say it's not gonna happen. It's not 1921. Yes, it is, because history repeats itself. So I tell people all the time when brothers come to me and say, you're an extremist, you're a radical, and I tell them, I said, okay, cool, you can have all the opinions you want, but if the KKK come to your house 22 deep right now, what is you doing?
I feel you.
What is you doing? I know what my twin sister doing. I know what my mother's doing.
And that's I'd rather
because
see
my family. We don't care about Gucci. We don't care about drip. We don't care about Louis Vuitton, Balenciagas, all that corny, westernized Yankee shit. We don't care about that. We don't care about that. We care about protection.
So I'd rather see someone with the education of understanding how to protect yourself and your family spread that to other families and other people that would like to do it, because there are other families that would like to, but they just don't know how. They're not 100% on how, and that's what you're here for now.
Yes.
So there's somebody listening to you right now that's like, yo, I need to get in touch with him so he could show me how to get that done, because I 100% agree with you, and I would be right there if there was something, the alternative of the police department. If there was an alternative of the police department that was strictly for our community and cared about our issues and the things that's going on with us, and they were there to serve and protect our property. That's the other thing. We need someone to protect our property like they protect their property. So I would be right with you, but we need to set that needs to be set up. So if you're working that out, let's get that out there.
I am. I'm trying.
ASAP, please.
And there's a lot of work done too with restorative justice, so that you can, kind of what we've been trying to push in the schools instead of having police in the schools to resolve things. The violence, let's face it, Europe is what brought so much this level of violence to this continent, to the rest of the world. So this level of violence is something that Europe has created. So there are ways to unlearn that too. And in a lot of communities, folks have found ways to figure out how to address conflict without the violence. And I'm not talking about somebody like who's cooperating with the police coming in telling you, can't we just get along? Because I don't think that's realistic. But helping to figure out, whether it's, in PRISM, Providence Houston Movement, where I work, for instance, we're working with folks who, are now in their 40s, were arrested, Cambodian guys who were arrested back in the day, maybe 20 years ago, for being involved in stuff, and folks were hurting each other pretty badly, and now are facing potential deportation to Cambodia for stuff that happened when their families came here after the war, but are learning to okay, we're past that, because now we're trying to figure out together how to, how to be able to challenge this monster that wants to send us to, send us away from our families. Or you hear about in Chicago, gang truces, where folks are okay, we have to learn to work together for a common enemy. I think there's a lot more possibility if we could kind of figure out how does that work on a day-to-day basis too.
Yeah, y'all are making sense in here. Just to let you know, you can call up 401-400-5002 if you'd like to call up and speak to any one of the guests right now. I wanna bring it back sort of to my case and how the police didn't know when they did everything to me. They didn't know that I had it on camera. That was something that we brought up later on as a strategy with my lawyer. He wanted the police to commit perjury and lie and say that they never touched me, and then we would bring the tape in. So I got found guilty of resisting arrest, obstruction of justice, and disorderly conduct, and then we took it to Superior Court, where we brought the tape up, and I had a jury, and the jury found me not guilty of everything, and then we went to civil court. But one thing I wanted to bring up is that the police with the cameras. Now that there's cameras, Are they putting them on? And this is me asking a lawyer. Are they putting them on at the sufficient time? And is that something that we can change? That they have to put them on as soon as they get to the scene?
So the thing with the body-worn cameras, they're manufactured by the company Taser. They changed their name, it's like Axion or something, but it's Taser. So it's the same thing, you know, the one company makes cigarettes, and then they make the nicotine gum to just get you back and forth and complement each other.
Yep.
So the body-worn cameras are not designed to protect us, they're designed to protect the police.
Okay.
They have the model that Providence uses. They have a little button on the top of it that will be red if it's turned on. You can't see that. Unless, I guess, maybe if you're a lot taller than the police, I never kind of considered that. But you really can't tell if it's on or not. Only afterwards, if you try to actually
I
get
did
the
notice
film.
that the light is not forward facing. It's on, like you said.
It's on the top,
yeah,
right,
yeah.
so they look down, and they have the control. They will not manufacture body cameras that take away the individual police officer's power to turn it on and off at their own will. There's rules about it, but gee, how often do police follow rules when it's inconvenient or not helpful to them? And then those rules don't get enforced. You know, we had
Yeah.
a complaint hearing recently where, you know, they even admitted, okay, he turned it off when he wasn't supposed to turn it off. And what happened to him? Nothing. So that's common that they turn them off or not when it's convenient for them.
Yeah.
But there's the other issue. I mean, Jonas, you mentioned Rodney King. I remember that. I mean, that was the summer that, like, everybody's like, okay, things are going to happen, things are going to go down, because finally you can show the world what they did to this man, right? You watch it and you're just horrified. And, you know, like, people are seeing this, and no, it didn't work, right? It didn't work. It was there to see. So there's another part of it that just even seeing it, I mean, it doesn't necessarily change anything, because people are still going to believe it the way that they've been trained to believe it. And I think we all know, I'm going to be the first to admit, white people are trained and raised and inculcated to be stupid, to think that the world operates in a way that it does not. You know, contradictory.
I think that they think in a world that revolves around them.
Yeah, it works for me, so hey, it must be perfect.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So, and if it doesn't work for me, it's your fault. Right, it's not the system's fault. So on the body-worn cameras, they can be useful sometimes. I think you can get stuff. Conversation can be actually sometimes, I think, more useful than the pictures, hearing what they say and don't say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's something.
I think the video in this case, I don't know, just watching the videos that were taken when I was there, I was only at that protest for about 8.5 minutes before all that happened. And the video that was taken from every angle, I think that's just the only thing I have going for them.
Let me ask you a question. What caused them to approach you to arrest you?
That I can't even tell you. To be honest with you, I was literally having a dialogue with one cop. It was extremely civil. I was explaining to him how my whole aspect of $88 million for cops, homeless vets at KP. He's nodding in agreement. You see him, yeah, I feel you. He's not touching me. Another gentleman on the other side is, yo, back the F up, you back up. And I'm like, yo, I'm moving. I explained to the dude, yo, I just got hit by a car, I think the day before yesterday at that point. I said, you see me dragging, I'm moving at my pace. I said, if I'm backing up, you see where they tackle me, I'm like this far from the sidewalk.
Yeah.
I'm almost there. I'm already moving in compliance. So where the aggression came from literally caught me off guard, because it was the last thing I expected to just be snatched up when I'm right. You're telling me to go to the sidewalk, I'm almost there. I didn't even see the whole tackling and the yanking coming from. You know, my legs is pulled from underneath me, and I'm just being tugged in 4 or 5 different directions.
And it's the same dynamic. You're in a car, the car gets pulled over, you don't want to be with the one friend, or maybe you are the one friend that has to say something. Some people, that's who gets picked out. It's the people who are talking.
They were already waiting for it, though. They were waiting for it.
Yeah.
It's already a target for some time.
I think that's what's going on, is
being
that
targeted.
They don't. When I'm watching these certain protests at this point, because I refuse to be out there because I just don't see tangible things happening. But when I watch these protests, and I'm watching the protests at a police department, I know for a fact they don't want anybody around that damn police department. So they're already gearing up to figure that they're gonna arrest some people, and to make it as a point to arrest them, so people see that they're not pushovers. But the problem is that for the most part, a lot of these a lot of these police officers are scared. They're scared of someone who's outspoken like yourself. They're scared of people who aren't scared of them. Like if you're sitting there in their face and they know that they're scared of that. So that's where this aggression comes from. And the other thing that I don't know if y'all will agree with me or not, but mental health is a problem in the Providence Police Department.
Yes, I agree with you. 100%.
Mental health is they need some severe mental health training.
Anger management, man.
And I explained it to someone because they were like, "What do you mean?" Well, I don't want this police officer pulling over my son when he just broke up with his girlfriend and he don't know how to fucking handle it, and now he's pulling over my son. My son's a good-looking kid, and he's like, "Damn, he could probably take my girl." So he now in his head he's thinking that I'm gonna beat the shit out of him so he don't look good. You know what I'm saying? So that mental health problem, they need. So to me, they need so many hours of mental health, so many mental health evaluations, and some hours to just sit with someone so they could speak. Because also, I'm sure that they've seen some traumatizing shit. So at the same time, I think it will help on both ends. Them being them speaking to someone, and because the way they speak to people sometimes, and I just had it happen maybe like 3 or 4 weeks ago. My car was in the front of a building that I pay rent for, and I'm out here for the last 6 years in the same spot, and he wanted to tow my car, and I'm like, "What are you towing my car for?" "Oh, because you're so many feet past the sign that says no parking." I'm like, "All right, so well, you're towing the car, tow the car, but can you tow it around the corner?" Nah, I can't do that. Nah, I can't. I was like, "Call your sergeant and ask him if you could tow my car around the corner. I'll still pay for the tow." He's like, nah, I can't tow your car there. There's no fucking way I could do it. I'm like, "Yo, dude, all you have to do is call your sergeant." "I'm not bothering the sergeant." I'm like, "All right, well,
You're not bothering the guy who gets paid off of my taxpayer dollars."
Yeah, and they towed the car. I got the car out in 2 seconds and parked it exactly where I told him to park it at. But the funny thing was, he turned off his camera. He said, his whole demeanor changed. He was like, "DJ Ruckus, I know it was you. I mean, I wish I could have called him, but I can't."
Well, see, that's expectation.
They have to be a
too.
Nazi. You have to impress Hitler.
You know.
So this is the shit that I know that people go through. They go through it worse than I've gone through it. Luckily, I do know some people that could help me out in certain times, but there are people that are out there that don't know anybody that can help them out. How many cases do you deal with? Like lately, do you have a huge caseload?
Yeah, I mean, it feels that way because every case is so important and deserves to have a lot of time. I think we've got 8 going civil rights cases in federal court.
Okay.
Mostly police against police. There's one employment discrimination.
I got another question about civil court. The judges in civil court. I feel I've been in front of a civil court judge. One of the most racist bigots I ever had to deal with. His name was Judge Legore. I don't care what anybody says. He was a bigot. He berated every single one of my witnesses so they wouldn't be a witness. It was terrible. He actually should have been recused from the case, but he wasn't. Anyway, after you get to civil court, what type of percentage of a fair shake you think you're gonna get? One thing they told me was the city don't even have any money to. They told me specifically, "We don't have any money. We'll give you $20,000. We don't have any money to give you. If it's anything past 6 digits, we can't. We definitely have to go to court."
And that was some serious physical harm that they did to you, even at saying, "Oh, here's 20,000."
Yeah, they broke 3 of my teeth with a flashlight. They came over and broke 3 of my teeth with a flashlight. But they literally told me that $20,000, and my attorney fees was around there, so it didn't even make sense. So we had to go to trial, and I know for a fact that there's no. Are there any black judges on the civil court?
In federal court in Rhode Island, no. Their state court has also civil. We usually do these cases in federal court. So federal court in Rhode Island, there are 3 judges. They're all white, and 2 magistrate judges. Judge Ligor is retired now, and
Thank goodness. Man, listen, what I like to really say, I'm not going to say just because he's looking at me up there.
Oh man.
But
the-
I'm gonna hit you both with the question that's a redundant question, but I'm gonna ask you because I have to ask you, what at this point, how do we make shit change? Is it you gathering the troops and making it happen almost like how they did in Stone Mountain, Georgia?
Well, first things first, how we need to go about changing is I need all my charges to be dropped. Like I said, I'm already a slave to the system because I'm a 2-time convicted felon from my past record. And
Okay.
They know what they were doing because when I went down there, it was 1 charge. When I came back up, it was 4. So I need those to be wiped off so that way I can better continue to do what I need to be doing. And then when I do actually commit a crime and get arrested for it, I'll be more than willing to just take that. But I'm not going to get arrested for something
So
that I
you
didn't
didn't do, yeah.
But, moving past that is, yes, honestly, I think, they say insanity is to do the same thing over and over again and to expect the same results. I love Martin Luther King. The man was insane. He was underslept. He ran on 2-3 hours worth of sleep. He was on the FBI watch list. He was paranoid. And the whole kumbaya approach and the marching and then the preaching and the marching and the rallies, that's not going to do nothing. I feel like when certain things happen, and I'm not going to get too into it because I've already been labeled as this and that by certain people like John DePietro or whatever, but when certain things take place, we get the response on a little bit of progress that we need. And then when we go with the kumbaya approach, we get wrongfully arrested for stuff that we ain't even do. So you basically telling me I could have bugged out the way I wanted to and then taken the charge for real because I'm being charged with it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That's the message you're sending to people.
And how do you feel, Shauna?
So I think it takes a lot of different things. I mean, this example on Friday, the legal system, and I've only been a lawyer for, 6 years, and before that I was a community organizer for a long time. So I really believe that's what really works. What the law can do is maybe try to take the boot off of somebody's neck for a little while, or
Yeah.
I guess now the knee off their back for a little while and get some breathing space maybe here and there, or just keep somebody out of jail, or try to recoup some of what they've taken from somebody. But that's that's just like, I think it's going to figure out taking all these, what could the world be? That's been stolen from people, right? That's been stolen from I was going to say our kids, but they're starting to figure it out and tell us. What could the world be? What could this world look like that we live in? And okay, no, we're not there yet. We don't have an alternative to police in place. But what if we started to try to just play around and experiment and build it? And as we're doing that, look like that we live in. And okay,
Sorry, go ahead.
keep the police back, keep them, there's a block, there's this block, I'm just gonna come out and say, Warrington and Niagara, the police drive around there, we will they've been out there with a whole bunch of recruits, there's a little corner of Neighbors that would just in a block, people would just say, nope, you don't need to be here, we don't need you here, right? Not consistently, we don't have the ability to do that, but let's figure out how to kind of keep our own neighborhoods and communities together and keep police out, defund them, and then the community together envision where could that money go? Where could that do? Instead of just denigrating the old Hood Memorial, Hood AME Church on Adelaide, there could be money to turn it into some big community project.
That actually pisses me off when I actually was at a church maybe a couple of weeks ago, and I seen the roof kind of falling. And that kind of pissed me off because I'm this is a place where we could congregate, we could speak about things, and the roof is coming off this church. So I think that is where we could probably allocate some of these funds.
And can I'm sorry, because that just reminded me that one of the things, I know we're focusing on policing, but how much it plays into other aspects of life. We talk about police in schools, just talking about gentrification. They literally want to change a historic black church into, quote, cute micro-lofts, and basically move in 30 white people, as if Elmwood, that part between Elmwood and Broad, hasn't been kind of
the gentrification
enough,
is real.
right? And those people, they come in there, somebody has a birthday party, loud.
We got a call. Hello.
Hey, what's good, bro? This is Rodney real quick. I just want to talk to the young brother who just was speaking about Martin.
Yeah.
All right. So all I'm going to say is that, my brother, you can't sit here and say Martin was insane for doing what he did the way he did it. What you need to understand with this movement, which has been going on long before you were born and long before I was born, we have to take this movement on in different ways. You have to go peacefully at times. You have to protest peacefully. And then, if that doesn't work, I'm all about turning the heat up. But for you to sit here and kind of discredit Martin like that, that's not really a good look, my brother. You really shouldn't come out like that. We're human beings at the end of the day. Okay? So we have emotions, so we're going to act in different ways. And if we keep acting the same way, then nothing's going to change at all.
He wanted to answer your comment.
With all due respect, from a clinical aspect, it does say that insanity is to repeat the same thing over and over again, expecting to bear new results. That's exactly what he did. I don't think I'm not saying that as his character he was insane. I'm saying someone who's on the FBI watch list, functioning on 2 hours of sleep, traveling, spent most of his time on the road. Yeah, the guy might not have been all there, man.
The only thing to kind of offset is that towards the end in his last speech and the speeches that he was going to give after that was about it wasn't going to be the same Martin that we seen with the I Have a Dream. It was going to be the Martin that was talking about how we can economically gain some territory and everything else. So I think
to better answer him, he's saying that we got to do things the peaceful way before we turn the volume up, right? The volume been turned down for 40 plus years, brother.
I mean, he didn't.
So I think if anything, if the time to turn the volume up would be now.
I don't think he said that
But
consistently.
it's still okay to go there and peacefully protest, though. It's never not okay for us to sit there and show people that we can peacefully protest. That's why I think there's a disconnection between what I'm trying to say to you that you're not really getting. I understand, yes, it is time to turn the heat up on this, especially now with everybody acting like this is over for the most part. For the world acting like, oh, well, this is over. George Floyd died a couple of months ago. No. This is still going, but we can't attack this war in the same way. We have to attack this war from many different aspects. Mm-hmm. We have to attack this war peacefully. We have to attack this war by turning up. We have to attack this war by going and hitting them financially and going through the courts. And we have to do it in several different ways, though. We can't sit there and think, oh, there's only one way to do it, because that's not going to get us where we need to be.
Absolutely.
Did you want to say something to that?
No, I'm all set.
All right, good luck. Thank you for calling, man.
They're gonna have their own approach.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, with what the last caller said, I think that is the way you're approaching it. You are attacking it a different way, and then everybody else.
I'm open to everything, but I think that all the other approaches, like the courts have been around before she passed the bar 6 years ago, all right? Like, she's not the first lawyer to fight for injustice, okay?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, some people, I don't know, the brother over there, some people have free enough syndrome. So maybe they either complacent in their court, or maybe they okay with the pace. They took plantations out. I'm cool for now. Like, I don't have all day because I'm getting old. Like I said, my days are numbered. But my nephew and niece, I don't have all day to sing Kumbaya and we will not be moved for them to be free and not be awkward, bro. Like, I'm not asking you for my freedom. I'm basically trying to take it, bro. I'm not sitting here gonna wait 10, 20 years to get invited to the White House for a cup of coffee and then have some infiltrator get me smoked on my balcony at my hotel. Nah, I'm not doing that.
I do have a question where the very first protest that I went to, I seen a moderate amount of white allies, I guess we could call white allies, because they were out there trying to protest and understand what was going on. But the second protest with the 10,000 people, I seen and then now that I see these protests, I see maybe 25, 30 people. Sometimes the most I seen lately was maybe 100. But where are all those people at?
I haven't seen a lot of them.
Is it not cool anymore? Are we done being cool? I think that's we have to answer, where are those people at, and what did they go back home to Coventry and just say, all right, I did that was enough.
Those are the dudes. I'm not trying to be a dick.
No, be who you want to be. Go ahead.
Those are the dudes that think like homeboy. They're not listening to how I'm saying things. They're listening to how I'm saying it, not what I'm saying. I could make as much sense as I want, but if I don't sugarcoat it and put sprinkles on it for some motherfuckers, bro, they're not gonna eat it, and that's great. Starve, right? You don't gotta eat my food. Go eat the poison that the white man be giving you from your education system. The only dude you know about is Martin Luther King for a reason. They don't want to teach you about Du Bois. They don't want to teach you about Carmichael. They're not gonna teach you about Garvey. Those dudes scare y'all. Jonas is scare y'all, and I'm cool with that. But the people that I don't scare, those are the ones you're going to call when the KKK come to your crib. You should have asked that dude that called in, if the Klan come to his house 22 deep, what's he going to do?
He said, in a war, you must have expert strategists who attack
course.
from many different ways. I think y'all are
But
saying the
this
same.
angle- this
I think
angle-
y'all are saying the same thing, but just different.
But my
y'all are
angle,
on different
my
angles.
specific
Yeah.
angle is constantly being muted. My specific angle on this is constantly being, he doesn't have.
What is that
not-
specific
What it
angle?
specifically means is he's extra dark, he's extra loud, he got face tats, he a little brolic, he a little institutionalized, and he's actually not speaking from. I didn't watch motherfuckers get oppressed on TV, all right? Some people just watch people get. When I'm chilling in Mansfield, picking my mans up from work, and 6 D-boys come up to me, talk about what am I doing, this is a fire lane. Okay, cool, completely understood. You need 6 cops, 3 of them being detectives, for somebody eating pizza, waiting to pick up their mans in the fire lane. I'm talking about people that have actually been beat up behind bars. They no cameras in jail.
Yeah.
Ain't no cameras in jail. When you tell them, dudes, you're not covering up because you didn't do anything, and they come through, and they beating that ass, yeah, bro, that's where I'm coming from. So if you have all the time in the world, that's cool. Keep that energy over there. I need the people that are fed up, that are truly tired. And you see, my approach is the best. You know why? I weed out the weak. Off rip, if you can't handle how I'm speaking, if me calling Martin Luther King insane like he was your uncle or your cousin or some shit like that, if me saying something that makes sense, it's all right, I see you.
I honestly think y'all are saying the same thing, just different angles.
But I'm just saying, if my approach scares certain people, I honestly welcome that. And the people that are, I feel where you're coming from, those are the ones I want to embrace. Those are the ones I need. And there's another opportunity in this corner or that corner for them to do whatever it is that, for that expert.
I mean, and I was just, I mean, like, what you're inspiring me to think about, and it's kind of some similar ideas, but I guess different too, Jonah, is that the thing is, there's always got to be, like, somebody's got to be, like, clearing on the front line and the edge, and that's you're the crazy people. So, like, and I think if the crazy people in whatever way it is, and even given the, like, sort of peaceful protest model, okay, Martin Luther King was sort of, you could say, I think that's fair to say, the crazy people, I feel like that in court. I'm the crazy people.
Was he still a hero? Yes.
And you're the crazy person in terms of you're putting this out here and people look at you like, whoa, you're crazy. But it does take that, and I think to be able to push those edges, go this way hard, go that way hard. Yeah. I mean, what we miss, I think, is a couple things. One is that we can be crazy and still have to be, I mean, it's corny, it's the Che Guevara thing, but I mean, it's about love for the community and the people, your niece and your nephew and all the people we care about, that we want to be able to live life and breathe. And then it's also being what, I think you were reading it off, was it a comment from the man who called?
Yeah, Rodney.
But so think about, we do have to be strategic. I mean, I'm just going to, if we can all read one thing this year in the, time that's left, read The Art of War. Short, quick, whatever, but we all have to think so much harder about our strategy, about what we do and how we can do it and win. That book is gold in terms of helping us think about it.
I mean, I know this is like off, but I hate the fact that we even have to have a fucking strategy to live. This is crazy.
Like, that's where my frustration comes from. Like, the older generation, the boomers especially, they don't understand. Like, bro, my frustration comes that, like, this is not something I should be dedicating my time to do. I'm still trying to finish school, bro. I was in the middle of expunging my criminal record. I had not been charged with anything for 10 years prior. Ain't no cracker put me in jail for almost 9.5 years, bro. And now I get arrested for some bullshit like that.
Yeah.
And some old dude who probably fighting oppression from the couch want to tell me that I need to calm down and I can't be calm.
Nah, he's on the front line. I didn't know who that is.
I'm just giving you an
Nah,
example.
I get what you're saying,
the
though.
first time I heard people are so upset, they're like, stop listening.
Well, not everybody's gonna
to how I'm saying.
Not everybody's gonna understand your approach. My approach is different. I feel like I went out there, I didn't feel it, so now I'm fighting it this way. I'm giving y'all the media, and I'm giving everybody a point to go on that platform and talk and say exactly what you want to say.
I apologize for my rhetoric. I'm under
see, here's the thing.
I'm fed up.
This is the thing. There's nothing you could say on here that could be stopped. I'm not going to
Yeah,
stop
yeah,
you
yeah,
from
I
saying
feel
it.
you. I feel
It's in the same over here. There's nothing that Shauna could say that I would stop from saying it because it needs to be heard. Whatever it is, people need to hear this.
I don't think the government understands what, like, the more the community and people, elected officials, people that are paid by taxpayer dollars, the more they continue to rebuke the idea of using their moral compass and just knowing what's right and wrong, the more trauma that they're causing. You don't know who suffer from mental health. Like I said, I ain't slept in days. You know what I'm saying? I suffer from manic bipolar. I suffer from anxiety, from depression, from PTSD, from anxiety. I wake up every day on the dot around 3 o'clock, 4 in the morning, thinking I'm in jail. Every day, on the dot. So I'm already suffering from my own personal issues, from my own personal demons, right? And now you want me to go and fight oppression that should have been killed when my grandfather was alive. Oppression that shouldn't have even existed to begin with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I want to lift up then some really important work. So groups like Sister Fire, that's all about trying to figure out how, and this gets really misused and put into corny ways. So I want to really like bring it out in a way that's true, but about healing, about all the pain, of all the ugliness, all the hate, all the violence the system feeds into people. How do you actually try to keep yourself well enough to keep going? Because I think part of when you get like, because the thing is, what you're contributing now, what you're building, what you're creating, what you're setting out there, what you're challenging older folks to understand, to look at, to think about, to see, is so powerful and so beautiful. How do we help you be well enough to keep doing that in the years forward?
Yeah, 'cause it takes a lot of out of you.
Come back, and you're going to be able to say, hey, here's what I learned back then. Go to it. Show me where to go. To sit back and watch you guys lead is so amazing and beautiful, and to be able to say, great, tell us where to go, let's follow. And then also, like, the gentleman who called, to be able to say, hey, here's some thoughts I have to add to the mix. And, right now it's kind of a back and forth, but at some point, like, okay, yeah, he had this good point,
But
okay.
it's
How do we
draining.
create that so
It's
that people
draining.
are healthy enough and well enough to do this? And I think, having a space like this, having actual community-based media is critical for that happening.
Yeah.
For the conversations to take place.
100%. I wanna kind of, I don't want to finish up with you, but I want to put some things out there because you're definitely coming back with some of your clients that need their story told. But when are we gonna have that? That's what I want to know, when we're gonna have that, because I got to get Paige in here.
Yeah, no, definitely. Thank you for the opportunity to talk with you. And yeah, we'll be definitely back. We'll just set it up. I do want to put one word out. If in terms of police fights, remember they connect to other systems.
Yeah.
And there's one coming up. We'd love to hear from anybody who's had bad experience with the way the domestic violence industry collaborates with police to treat people, and particularly in this case, we're looking at how they treat victims, where they get together with the police and work with the police too closely. So if we've got some anybody out there has experiences to share, please let me know. And at some point,
How can they get in touch with you? To let you know?
Oh, good point. So if you're okay with, you can hit me up on Facebook, message me. It's Shanna, SHANN. Oh, actually, I should give the Prism info. Okay, sorry. I have a card here. No, it's, if it's an emergency.
How do you spell PRISM?
Providence Youth Student Movement, so PRYSM. And actually, we got a Cop Watch team, and folks can sign up for that. I guess probably the easiest way, if it's an emergency, actually, literally, like the cops are right there attacking you, you can call my cell phone, 439-0518, 439-0518. If it's not like an emergency right then, text, because I'll answer it quicker.
Okay.
Yeah, but thank you so much for the opportunity.
100%. I appreciate you coming through and speaking with us, and I'm glad I connected a dot somewhere, somehow. That's what happens when you bring great people together. They connect some dots. So I'm gonna bring in our other guest that was supposed to be our first guest, but Paige, where's Paige at? Come in, Paige. Come in. I got a comment. Link me with the Young King on there, so him and I could chop it up. So he wants to link with you, so y'all could chop it up. Paige Pina.
Hi, nice to meet you. Well, nice to meet you.
How's it going?
We're gonna get into some things that Paige is doing. I'll be honest with you. I didn't know exactly what you got going on, but you could absolutely let us know, and we could definitely chop it up. I do know that at one point or another you were part of Black Lives Matter.
I hosted one event for Black Lives Matter, yes.
Okay, you did the women's.
The Women's March, yeah.
All right,
That
all
was
right.
my actual first introduction into, like I said, Rhode Island activism was that first event.
Okay, that's good.
And it was
You
very
know that's a start.
Learned a lot since then.
All right, and what are some of the different things that you have you learned?
That there's different ways to be an activist. There's not one way. There's not just, like I said, Brother Gary has his way. Then you have, Gen Z has their way. And I think I've learned that I have to find my way. And the way I define that, kind of like there's the Martins, the Malcolms of this movement.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I've learned that my perspective is more, I thought was more of a Martin, but it's more of a Malcolm, where I see equality and equity as being our own, and our own neighborhoods, our own schools, our own Black Wall Streets, those things, as opposed to a seat at the white man's Wall Street, at the white man's
Okay.
schools. I want to see people want to move into our neighborhoods. I want to see people want to come to our schools, want to work for our businesses, want to shop in our stores. That's where I really learned where my activism comes from. It's really about building our community and not so much necessarily reaching across the board and
Yeah.
asking for a seat anymore.
But how do you start with the creation of that, because it just doesn't pop up?
Oh, it certainly doesn't.
All right, so let's go through some explanation of how it could start. Like how do we have to find some Black millionaires to help out, and how does it start?
I definitely think you need to start within your community. I think there's small, tangible things that you can start doing within your own community to start that momentum within the people, because you need that. And I think that's what I'm finding now. I feel like the rich millionaires, I feel like the community leaders kind of come to the people after the fact. After something happens, they're not there proactively trying to help us. So I
Yeah.
think it's more important to unify the people and get the movement started on small scales within the community. And
Okay.
then we'll start to see larger investments and people coming in to help us. But I think once we start that momentum with ourselves, we get to control that narrative. And that's
Yeah.
very important, I have found, controlling our narrative, what we want. 'Cause I think we have gotten way off track since the beginning of this thing. I'm sorry, I do kind of have to say that, since George Floyd started. We went from,
go ahead.
let's work on things that are going to save Black lives, to now we're like, and I know people are going to hate me when I say this, but we're
Talk.
working on, like, let's take Aunt Jemima off the damn box. Like,
I'm
Uncle
looking for
Ben, like, when
reparations.
did
I
we,
don't care
I said,
about
when
that.
did I ask for that? Like, when did we, my son doesn't care. I don't care. I'm eating Aunt Jemima. What I care about is the fact that I have an honorable Black child who's 14 who damn near, craps his pants when the police just pull up behind us.
Yeah.
The kid does nothing wrong, but that fear, and that's what I'm talking about. That's what is important to me. And I think we've kind of started to stray away from that and been happy with these little kind of crumbs, these little soft victories.
Taking plantation out of the name.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like and I really believe Malcolm said that, and people skip over those things, that they will give us these little victories just to shut us the hell up. And it's like, and that's what we're still getting.
I
and I'm
think-
sorry, I don't want to.
I think
Down the work.
we need those small victories. I think even though it's not a victory yet, because we didn't get plantations isn't out the name yet. It has to be voted on.
Right.
But I think we need those small victories for people to garnish people's support.
Okay.
And I only say that because something that you said earlier was a lot of Rhode Island people are sheep. Is that what?
Yeah.
Did I quote you correctly?
I said it.
All right, and I believe the same thing, that there are a lot of sheep here. There's not too many people that's ready to lead the flock and really go all out. And because of that, we have to give them the small victories to show them where the big victories are, that they're right around the corner, as long as we keep on the same path of looking for that big victory.
And that was going to be my next question. Okay, so we've given this small victory, and now we're starting to see everybody's timeline starting to go back. Everybody's starting to forget why we've started. We're back to, hey, selfie challenges again. It's like, and this is what I'm talking about. So it's like, okay, but those small victories to me kind of,
It's
I
attention
understand
span.
right. I understand the building of the morale, but at the same time, it's like, we're right, the attention span. Now that that didn't do anything, but people are out here celebrating like we've done something, and we still have done nothing.
It's part
That's
of the syndrome
protecting
that some
black
people
lives.
have. Some people
Right.
have a syndrome. I call it free enough syndrome.
Right.
They really become, well, I can go here now and I don't go. But guess what? You're still not free. You're still a
Right.
slave financially. You're still a slave
Right.
economically. You're still working 75, 80 hours a week without having a real living wage. The white man can go and live in all these big ass lofts in downtown Boston
Right.
and pay $3,000 just to have a Porsche that's a 6x9.
Right.
But yeah, you got to go live in some musty ass area in the South Side.
Right.
I'm not with all that, man.
Right. Right.
And
What all that?
so I love when people give those explanations of things that they don't want to see, but how do we
go about seeing it?
There has to
Same
be.
person
Hold
that
on one
bombed Black
second.
Wall Street
Hold
in
on.
1921 should put it back up.
Hold on. Before you go, I like where you're going. But before we get there, we have to figure out how to get there. So
They didn't figure out how to bomb it. They
I was
figured out how to bomb
about
it.
to ask y'all how we get there, because we're at a point where, like you said, you see people totally straying from the original problem.
Right.
Every day I kind of have to put up something just to remind motherfuckers that
Right.
Breonna Taylor's killers are
Killers are
still
still
not.
free.
They're still roaming the street. They're still while they lied to her mother and told her mother that she was at the hospital while she bled out, and on top of that, she actually could have been saved, but they
Right.
didn't save her. So I have to remind people constantly of that, and I'm not going to stop reminding. But that's where I think there's leaders that do lead the flock, and then there's sheep that are part of the flock. You know what I'm saying? So maybe we have to figure out or find or call to all the leaders that lead the flock. What I don't like, and this is just my personal opinion, is every other day protesting for nothing. To me,
Right.
what I don't like is bike rallies. I don't like it. I'll let you. I don't like bike rallies. I don't like that shit, because I feel like, what the fuck, at the end of the bike rallies,
What are we
motherfuckers are
doing?
doing, what happens at the end?
Right.
We did a bike rally, now what? Give me something else.
Where's the education?
And I swear to
Where's
God, I
the
better not see
action?
another one.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there's no call to actions. That's what I'm finding. There's no call to action. Okay, so at the end of it, we're standing around, and what's the next call to action? Did we call the people to vote? Did we tell them this is what's coming up? This is when you're primary. Did we give that education? Did we have a call to action when it comes to economic empowerment and financial education? Did we say anything about that, and
Yeah.
how we can start building back our neighborhoods before we get the loans? There's ways you can beautify your neighborhoods and make them nice enough to get your loans without having to get the loan first. I mean, that, to me, that comes down to your local representatives. Like, I've organized neighborhood cleanups and things like that. And it's like just picking up the trash in your neighborhood and getting community together to do those types of things around parks and around certain areas makes a huge difference. And then just that, we all know real estate, I'm going to say that, property value, that curbside appeal, we know that makes a huge difference when people drive through and they want to come and invest.
Yeah.
Those are those things that, like I said, we have to start finding the value in our own communities.
yeah.
And that's what I think is really important. We have to find value within ourselves. We have to start finding value within each other in our communities.
You were actually
Period.
disagreeing with me.
Like I said, first off,
You were disagreeing with me.
Yeah, I disagree just because I believe any form of distraction is in a way productive, whether
Right,
it's from a
right.
militant perspective or from even like a protesting perspective, right? And so when you clog up traffic and people are upset, and then the cops have to come out and they're asking questions, what are you guys doing, blah, 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 and there's 100 and something bikes in the street, it's a distraction. It causes, it's a form of rebellion, all right? And so you got to remember that each demographic has their way of doing things, right?
Yeah.
And I'm going to be the first one to tell you, like, the sheep like to come out with signs and do the kumbaya thing, and that's their way of expressing stuff. Me and my people go about a completely different way, and we can get into that another day. But
Yeah.
it's like, so thus you need the radicals, you need the sheep, you need the bikers, you need the skaters, you need the people that don't really have a platform to speak.
Right.
Oh,
So,
I think
the skating community. I consider myself. I don't skate. I don't BMX. Just to be like, I don't want to be like some sellout, like some poser. I chill within the biker and skating community, and like people like Bobby and the rest of them, because I was that kid that wasn't black enough, because I'd rather read books and feed myself with the good stuff. And I really didn't fit anywhere.
Yeah.
Even as someone that was making music. And so thus, when you go to the biking community, the BMS community, or the skate community in Providence, you won't find a better example of diversity and all-inclusiveness than those communities. They're the ones that wear cut-off jeans and cover with tattoos.
I love it.
And look a little musty. They're the ones where the police look at me, they just as annoyed as him too. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like in different ways for different reasons. They kind of ignore too in this community, and it's kind of.
I'm not talking about. I'm not. I think you kind of getting me wrong.
What I'm saying is,
I'm not talking about the biker. That's
actual
great.
Concept of the rally.
The great. I'm talking about the end of the rally. The rally's fine.
I'm getting there.
Right.
Go ahead.
I'm getting there. We talk before we ride out. We talk after we ride out. But what I find interesting is I look around. I don't think I saw not a single face that was here at the last bike rally. So how can anybody knows what happens at the bike rallies when we post the fucking flyers anywhere and nobody besides the sellouts and the homeless people and the people that are constantly, those are the ones that are showing up. I didn't see nobody else show up to the last rally. And
he actually organized it.
Well, I'm talking
to do back there.
I didn't even know it was you. I don't even. The white dude that was there had the speaker, and spoke, and he did say what his standpoint was on it. And
what bike rally are you talking about? We might be talking about two different.
Two different ones.
Yeah, that was the skate rally.
That was the skate rally. My bad. I'm sorry. Like I told you, I'm underslept. Blah blah blah. Listen. My point being, though, is at that last skate rally, I didn't see nobody.
And this is my point. See how you just confused all these fucking rallies? You wouldn't confuse shit if at the end of that rally, at the end of that rally you was able to garnish all the people that you need to go for your thing.
Right.
And then at the end of your rally, you was like, all right, I found 5 investors to build the block that like you're talking about. And at the end of the rally, I found somebody that believed in media that said, all right, I'm gonna invest in a black radio station for black people and to do black people shit. Now you're not part of this conversation. This guy, he always wants to be part of something. No, he's not gonna be part of this conversation.
I don't know. I just feel like any form of distraction is still beneficial. Is how I look at it, man.
You can sit down.
But those are the communities that I'm just being real. Those are the communities. Just last night, the other day, even a couple of people that work at Circuit were asking how could they better impact to have a platform to do something beneficial for the community. But the thing is if they were to come in to try to ask people, would they be met with that? You know how I see how some motherfuckers look at Bobby when I go around with him. You know what I mean? Well, who's he? I don't know. He's been on the front line more than anybody else. Right. The one protest I go without him is the one protest I get arrested.
Right.
So now that we got that off our chest a little bit, I want to know what the tangible things are. I guess I kind of want to say group, but I don't know where you stand right now.
I consider myself more as an independent watchdog of the community. Like, I don't really believe in group participation in the sense of, because then you start arguing the dogma of your group and you can get lost in that.
Okay.
I'm more of like, I'm about my people. My background is life coaching. That's what I like to do. I'm all about the uplifting and empowerment of the disenfranchised, and who more than my people. So that's where my passion, that's where my activism comes from. And I just see myself as, like I said, that independent voice, that person who can question this person and this group and that group and this group. Because like I said, just because you claim black doesn't mean you're necessarily in the best interest of black necessarily either. So I want to be able to just question that.
I think we're kind of, I think we're lacking passing on some of this knowledge and education to certain people. Like I'm over here still learning every single day. I just got done learning about the Garveyites and everything about Marcus Garvey and his how they painted him crazy, but now he's basically a legend in everything he tried to do. But it took some people singing about him for them to understand him.
People forget that man went to jail for a $25 check in all reality.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So I'm learning also, how do we pass on this education to the kids? And then the second part of that question is, what's too young to learn about it where it's not.
Can I briefly answer that?
Yeah, go right ahead.
You're not. But hold on. But you're not making them hate white people, because I'm gonna be honest with you. If I sat there, and I have young kids, so if I sat there and explained to my young son how their ancestors were raped, name was changed, religion was changed, their language was stripped from them, and all the way down. If I explain that to my young son, he's gonna. And when I say young, I'm saying like 5, 6, 7. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. He's gonna grow up looking at white people very differently. Whereas my mother did the different approach. She put me in with the white people and said, "You're gonna learn them your own way." And I didn't know the knowledge of myself and everything else that and my ancestors. So I learned a different way where I can tolerate white people, whereas I know if I teach my son exactly what the truth is and what we went through, and not start from Martin Luther King and really start from Africa,
The crossing, yeah.
they're not gonna like white people like that.
I feel you.
So how do we teach them where they're tolerable enough to tolerate?
Now I better understand your question, and
That's why I want to explain it. But go ahead.
I still believe in a somewhat similar approach, but a little bit changed after hearing the full question. Now, first off, in my opinion, which I think is somewhat rational for the most part, I don't think my reaction to 400 plus years of being raped and buckbusted and having to force, to see my mother being treated like a cattle, I don't think my reaction to that, no matter what it is, could ever be labeled as racism. I think it would be almost, defamation of character to every person who reacts to that in a volatile or angry way. I mean, if you get bit by 7 or 8 dogs, it's only natural that eventually your trust for dogs will diminish, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So that's just common sense. But now, my thing is I met Khalif at the last rally, and I believe the last rally could have been my last day in general if I did not come across the brother. And his last name speaks for itself, and he can, further get into that. But your rally is actually like the only rally I'm waiting for in Providence. It's the only, that whole organization. Your approach makes more sense. You guys know what you're asking for. Right. You know how you're doing it.
You didn't answer my question.
He's gonna. my point being is your explanation to a lot of the things that we talked about last time better help me understand how sometimes my rhetoric might be a little bit more, unapproachable. But I don't think.
How do you teach your nieces and nephews?
I was about to say there's a certain person that has to be someone that has the knowledge. I'll be the first one to humbly say I don't acquire the knowledge that I need. I'm still learning too.
Yeah.
I don't have the knowledge that I have. I need to speak to people like you, people like Khalif, and other people to further acquire that knowledge before I could even go about explaining that. You know what I'm saying? I think it has to be someone that has that wisdom, and not everybody has it.
Right.
I'm not that guy. I'll be the first one to tell you, I'm not that guy to go and train or explain to a young African American male or a young black person, whatever they identify as, to explain to them, well, this is not, because I'm gonna tell you exactly what happened, how it is, and how you feel after is how you should. This is how I look at it.
Right.
All right,
but like I said, I don't have the wisdom to go about even doing that.
How do we, Paige? How do you? Your son is how old?
14.
So he's 14 years old. How are you teaching him? Because at 14 years old, he's already learned to lie.
He's learned a lot, right? And
He's
for me,
learned whatever his history teacher or
And
whatever
then
that
some.
teacher taught him history, and all that is a lie. It needs to be. So how do you teach him the truth?
by telling the truth and not sugarcoating it. And then two, I teach him from it, and then also to take it from that historical standpoint, and I take it from an empowering standpoint of survival. I don't teach him like but that your ancestry, your DNA survived and had the fortitude, mental fortitude, tenacity, and vision to see past 300 years. Like, seriously, when you really think about that, so I look at it from an empowering point. So to him, he doesn't look at himself less than, he doesn't hate the white man. He sees it more as from compassion and empathy and sorry for them, more so, I think, than he does look at it with anger. But yeah, we took it from a more empowering standpoint. Like I always told him that, imagine that, like our ancestors stepped here back when they did off of that first ship. And then after 100 years, no freedom, and 200 years, no freedom. what was it about our ancestry that was so strong, so powerful, that they could see a better future, that they kept fighting?
I get
they
it.
kept doing this. They kept trying to teach themselves to read when there was the fear of being killed. I mean, like, seriously, think about like that. I have him focus on that, and it makes him empowered as opposed to angry. It makes him rise up and want to lead.
To be honest with you, I'm actually learning because I haven't spoken to my young ones yet about this whole situation and what they're actually about to learn because they're not there yet. So that's a good approach. I like that approach.
Right.
Kim Betty said, tell the children the truth.
Right.
And then my approach to my children, Rodney, he hasn't put it up yet, but I guess it's a lot. But I really was wondering, like, how we're gonna. I can't sit here and let my kids learn some bullshit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's exactly what's gonna happen. We're about COVID happened, and now these kids about to go back to school.
Right.
And what is that teacher gonna teach them after this whole situation? After this, everything that happened, and now there's more awareness and there's more eyes open, and people are actually seeing what we've been saying for a long time. What are they going to teach these kids?
Well, I say you empower your kids with the truth. Like I said, my son actually went in there and gave a recorrection of the emancipation part in Lincoln's legacy. And my son went in there and called it Lincoln the Lie and gave this whole presentation about what he read and taught the teacher.
I like it.
And that's what it is. It's like the kids, we need to teach our kids the truth so that the kids can teach the teachers. Because what do they know? What are they going to tell us? Seriously, because like I said, if everybody in this room, pretty much, we've all been learning Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks since everybody was in elementary.
Yeah.
And it disturbs my spirit that my son's 14 and we're still given the same narrative. Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King, like there's nobody else.
Learning that Malcolm X was a criminal.
Thank you. So it's like we've got to be responsible for really educating ourselves, educating our kids, and then letting them go and educate the educators. Because this is a history that is geared towards, I'm sorry, people hate white supremacy, and I'm sorry, I hate to say this, but since 1860, since education has been conceptualized, you've been told everything about you and your people is right. You slayed the natives, they were savages, you brought over the slaves, and you built this great country, and you built religion, and you went to the moon without everything is without black people. It's always just you. How can you not? How can you not? And this is what I say to people, and when I talk with white people, how can you not? How can you just not have that innate pride, right?
So you would teach them that, but
learning that by learning the truth.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with the truth is of course some people can't accept it, but they also will strip everything that you worked for because you told the truth via Nick Cannon.
That's a touchy one. I think you still have to be strong enough to tell the truth.
He told the truth, right. And they stripped him of the money that he deserves, the show he created, and a lot of other things, and basically made him depressed. Nick Cannon's depressed right now, and just by the tweets he's putting out, and the fact that he's contemplated. Understanding suicide because somebody close to him committed suicide, right. So he spoke about it as if it's probably an okay thing if he would have did it. So, and that's all because he was trying to be empowering. He was trying to bring out the truth.
Right.
Like, I think, to be honest with you, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
And that's what you have to decide what's important. And that's what I'm saying. That's what you have to decide what's important.
What's a profit of man to gain everything in this world but to lose his soul in the process?
Exactly.
Now, I'm not a religious man, but my father's a pastor, and I believe that at the end of the day, I'm not going to hold on to materialistic. Like I say, my days are numbered because I understand what happens to people that truly fight oppression.
My question, though, is should he have apologized?
No.
Absolutely not. No. That's the only mistake he made.
And don't you think that's teaching the children backwards? Because
yes, but I've told my son that. I was riding with Nick until he apologized. It's like somebody has got to stand at some point and
Nick
be willing to take the fall.
Nick Cannon is not the first black man to be depressed, man.
No. Understandable. Understandable.
Like Muhammad Ali.
They're all depressed right now.
I just want to read this comment. I explained he said my approach to my children has always been I explained to them what happened to us, the truth and let them get upset. I make sure I tell them that those feelings that they feel are normal, and ask them what they are going to do with those feelings.
Right.
Are they going to sit back and be complacent, or are they continue to fight and speak the truth too?
That's right. Empower. You've got to empower them with their truth, with their history.
I mean, I was just me having young kids is just like I don't know. I didn't know exactly how to approach it, but I appreciate that, Paige. That was a good way to approach it, the empowerment approach. I get it.
Right, we survived. I mean, we really got to, I think as a people, really understand like what is in our DNA and what we've overcome, and really find the pride in that, because it's a lot. It's serious when you really think about it. What keeps a people going and surviving for 300 years with no hope of freedom? And then even after that, 100 years where a country sets you up legally to fail. And we're still here. And we're still fighting that fight. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's where we all need to start empowering one another and loving each other from that space alone in our DNA, that we survived.
So the mayor is talking about reparations for Providence. Reparations for indigenous and I guess African American people in Providence. He's started a conversation. Where do you think the conversation should go? Because I mean, at the end of the day, how much could you really possibly give somebody? What do you think?
I don't know. I look at it as I was promised 40 acres and a mule. I've been promised something for so long that one of the things you promised to me is fucking irrelevant.
Thank
the
you.
fuck am I finna do with a mule now?
Thank you.
You know what I mean? So it's like, are reparations needed? 100%. Now, am I that guy to be able to be like, oh, some people be capping DJ Ruckus. I ain't capped since I've been. I tell you, hey, I'm not smart enough to know all that.
Yeah.
If more know about this,
Right.
he might have, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you know, I'm not here to do nobody's job for them either. They know the money is there, obviously. They know that they giving $88 million to a police department that's doing nothing, so the money is there. How they go about divulging that to make that work for black people, that needs to
Exactly.
be to one of the black people that we pay tax money and tax dollars to that represent us. They can go about doing that. They went to school for that shit, for budgeting and all that nonsense. I didn't go to school for that.
Okay.
I went to school for mental health.
What about you, Paige? How do you feel about?
I feel
How do you feel about that? And how do you feel
I know
about
it's
it's just the mayor that we're not getting that from the governor? We're getting
Right.
it's a
And that's why I said, I just think it's just another one of those things we're just going to throw out there to kind of be a distraction. So we all are talking about it, but nothing really
Until
happens
we shut
because
up, yeah.
there's no way how they're really going to quantify that and you know, how they're going to break that out. Let's just keep it like 100. What are they going to do? Put it into another fund that goes into what? To go into nowhere? Like, what are they investing in? Are they going to put it and start investing in black media? That's what I'm saying. There's nothing where it's ever going to go. It's like, oh, we're going to talk and form committees and maybe we're going to put it in. It's like, give me a break. If they really want to do something like Moses Brown or Brown, they could have done a lot of reparations by now. But what did they do instead with their money? They built a African American Studies Center, I think, with all that money that the Brown family has. So it's like, what good is that doing us? Anybody? Anyone?
Nothing.
What good is that doing the inner city communities? Are we getting loans so we can build our homes and our neighborhoods up so we get some equity up in here? No. It's just circulating still right back in academia in the same places it always stays. So no, I think it's a nice thought. It's a great idea, but I just don't see it happening that way. Not financially like that. They'd have to do something different. They're not giving back the money.
You know, I know that. I don't even want to talk about something that I know is fictional.
Yeah.
It's like they're not giving back.
I mean, I'm throwing these questions out there
course,
just because it's what they're talking about. I actually have been on the line and listened to them speak about it, and I'm gonna tell you what I think, and I know that's gonna hurt some people that I think this way, but I don't care. I think that it's just a waiting game for 2 years.
Yep.
He's gonna stretch this thing out for 2 years
Right.
with no actual solution and no actual payment.
Right.
And be like, oh well, I was the person that started the conversation, and after he starts that conversation, he's actually gonna
On to the
run
next
for
office.
another office. Run for another office, and then we'll be at the same place all over again.
Exactly.
Actually, I'm not even hopeful that won't happen. but
know what's gonna happen.
that's No, yeah, you're right.
I'm looking at his face.
Yeah.
I know that's what it is, man.
Because from what I heard that he's trying to run for governor, so
Of course.
that's a good way to get
the
black people vote.
Right, and this is my whole thing with black people and voting, 'cause I'm very about the voting, but
Well, let's go there.
all I'm
don't
saying
get me
is, when are we going to get like how important voting is? Like in the sense of Democrats have had the office, Republicans have had the office. It's like, and nobody's done anything for the black community. Like seriously, what bothers me, disturbs me, is the fact that we've had no federal legislation that protects black rights, black people pretty much since 1965. And everybody has held the office at some point in time, whether it was Democrat or Republican, correct?
Okay.
So that's what I mean. So it's like people, it's time to really get involved and understand how your vote works, why voting is important, why you need
So-
to start vetting your community members and getting them to run in your districts and so forth.
There's some real
'Cause this is ridiculous.
distinguished people that I actually have been watching and reading up on that said we shouldn't vote. Black people shouldn't vote.
Yeah, I know that. But
They shouldn't vote because you're gonna get nothing for your vote. You're gonna get absolutely
if you
nothing
keep
for your
voting for
vote.
the same people who've been giving you nothing
Well,
for
I
your
think it all
vote,
depends on like a local level,
Right,
a state level,
right.
a federal level, but
but then even
I know
on the federal
overall,
level,
presidential wise, I know either candidate we fuck, but that's a whole different
Right.
story.
especially on the
Well-
state level though, where you do have a lot more control and you can encourage people in your community to run, or people start running yourselves. You know what I mean? Who better to run than you? That's what I always say to people. You may not know that, but if you have a heart and a mind for the people, you can learn as you go, and who better?
I think it's about making an even playing field, and I swear we have to get to this point of making it even. I'm talking about our politicians, I'm talking about our police officers, I'm talking about law enforcement altogether, and I'm talking about our educators. That we need black educators, police officers, politicians, firemen, all the way down. I want to say unions.
Yes.
We need black unions. We need black construction workers, and so on and so forth, so we can at least gain the knowledge before we break off and make our own thing happen. And we got to gain that knowledge too.
Right,
so,
right.
but then again, for the most part, we're the most talented people on earth. So
We are.
God damn it. I think we're gonna actually stop here and continue this conversation. Paige, I want to bring you back so we could actually speak again and talk. And I definitely already told you that you're gonna come back. I like to bring different people on, and then I'll have y'all come in, and maybe they'll have a difference of opinion, and we can have a difference of opinion. But to be honest with you, we all know that shit does have to fucking change, and it has to change like now.
Like yesterday,
And the talking about it, and the protesting about it, and the screaming about it, and the making the pictures, the cute little pictures, and doing all the artwork, and some beautiful ass art too, by the way, I've seen. But that don't do a goddamn thing, because it's gonna sit out there, be weathered on, and eventually fade away. I work somewhere where I see a picture of George Floyd every day because I have to go by it, but I also, when I look out the window, I have to see it, and I'm starting to see people spray paint over it.
Yeah.
I seen a sticker that occurred on there the other day, and I'm just like, somebody should go back and redo it over, just to show people that, you're not gonna forget this situation. We're not gonna let you.
Right.
I'm not an artist, or I would do it, but whoever's an artist out there, and it's right by Providence Place Mall, and it's a picture of George Floyd on a electric box, but someone started spray painting on it. I think someone needs to redo that over again. We gotta let them know we're not gonna forget. And to people like y'all that are leaders, every day we should be putting up something to let them know,
Right.
we're not gonna forget. Our voice is gonna be heard.
We can't afford to.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So we're gonna be back, and we're gonna talk about all these issues some more. I mean, I know the talking is redundant sometimes, but we need to have these conversations, because you might have not met someone like Jonah, or someone like Paige, or Shauna, who just left here, You might not have met them, and you might have seen them and not know what they do or what they stand for. So this is what I'm going to continue to do. I'm going to continue to let people talk, and whatever their opinion is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to stand for no bullshit, though. So whoever comes out here talking that Trump bullshit, you're not doing it here. You're talking that white supremacy bullshit. You're not going to do that here. Even though I would like to have that conversation with two people that actually know what they think they know what they're talking about. Talk to each other. I like to see that, but we're gonna make it happen. It's the juice. We're up out of here. You already know we're trying to make. I'm like, if 100 was getting a black radio station today, I got some great news, and I'm like 70%. We're gonna have a black radio station.
Yes.
I can feel it already.
Yes.
We're gonna have a black radio station to talk about these black issues with black people. I'm gonna hire a lot of black people because the way we did our business plan, it calls for the hiring of a lot of black people. So all you media people, all you personalities, and all you people who write blogs and everything, we're gonna be looking for y'all. And I think it's gonna make national news because we're gonna be one of the first people to do it from the motherfucking mud. So it's gonna happen. Thank y'all for tuning in. And if you're rewatching it, comment. You could comment. We're on Vimeo. We got all 11 episodes on Vimeo. Every Monday and Thursday, we're gonna make this happen. I got next Thursday. I actually got the treasurer of Rhode Island coming on. To tell us where Rhode Island's putting the money. So it should be a good one.
Well
it should
worth
be a good
watching.
One.
Everybody should
Seth,
watch that. Follow the
he should
money.
be Thursday, and then Monday I have a young woman who has bought the block already in Pawtucket. She's a black woman that owns some property in Pawtucket, and she's trying to develop that property to be all black with a lot of black people who inhabit it. So that's going to be next Monday. So these are the people I'm bringing on, people that you might not know, people that you might be interested to know. And I'm going to continue to do it. So thank y'all for tuning in, and we're going to be back, and we're definitely going to bring these guys back because I know he's not done. I know he's not done. And I actually have some more questions for Paige, but we're at like 2 hours right now. So we're up out of here. Have a good night. Stay safe.
Thank you.